Let your blessings descend upon us here assembled, and grant that we treat and consider all matters that shall come under our deliberation is just and faithful a manner is to promote your honor and glory, and to advance the peace, prosperity, welfare of our country and those interests you have committed to our church. Amen. Good afternoon, honorable members. I can see we don't have quorum, so I ask the Sergeant at Arms.
Point of information, Madam Speaker.
Yes, Mheshimiwa.
Thank you. It is a parliamentary practice that speakers do not have eyes when it comes to issue of quorum. You have to be informed by a member. So unless it comes from a member, we don't agree whether we don't have enough quorum in this house.
Minority, thank you for that. But according to standing orders, it tells me that without any quorum, that we can't run. We can give ourselves like 3 to 2 minutes at least. Sergeant at Arms, you ring the bells. We have quorum now. Sergeant at arms can stop the bell. Good afternoon, honorable members. Let us start.
Order number 1, administration of oath.
Next order.
Order number 2, communication from the chair.
Next order.
Order number 3, messages.
Next order.
Order number 4, petitions.
Next order.
Order number 5, papers.
Honorable Daniel Ndwiki, Chairperson Lands and Energy Committee.
Honorable Speaker, pursuant to Standing Order number 190 sub 5F, I beg to lay the following paper on the table of the Assembly today, 21st February 2023. Report of the Lands and Energy Committee on an inquiry into the regularization program for the parcels of land under the management of East African Portland Cement.
Thank you, Honorable Ellen Deti. Next order.
Order number 6, notices of motion.
Honorable Daniel Ndwiki, Chairperson Lands and Energy Committee. Please proceed and give the motion.
Notice of motion. I am Helen Deti. I'm a member of the committee, and I'm reading this on behalf of our chair, Honorable Daniel Ndwiki. Honorable Speaker, that aware that Article 60 of the Constitution of Kenya, 2010, states that land in Kenya shall be held, used, and managed in a manner that is equitable, efficient, productive, and sustainable. Further aware that the Committee of Lands and Energy, pursuant to the second schedule of the standing orders, is mandated to deal with all matters related to county fiscal planning and development, land survey and mapping, boundaries and fencing, electricity and gas reticulation, and energy reticulation. Informed that East African Portland Cement Company, EAPCC, is a government corporation that was issued land by the government for a certain use for a predetermined amount of time before reverting the land back from the government. Aware that the said corporation was allocated land by the national government for quarrying and cement production. Cognizant that during a committee sitting held on 3rd November 2022, members raised concerns on several issues regarding land under the use by East African Portland Company, EAPCC, in the Machakos sub-county. Aware that guided by the terms of reference set, the committee on the 7th November 2022 held a meeting with the management of the company and the chairpersons of the neighboring land societies for the purpose of interrogating them. Honorable Speaker, I wish to give notice of motion that this Honorable House adopts the report of the Committee on Lands, Energy on an inquiry into the regularization program for the parcels of land under management of the East African Portland Company. I call upon
Thank you, Mheshimiwa. Next order.
Order number 7, statements.
Next order.
Order number 8, motion, approval of reports on the annual county budget implementation review by the Office of the Controller of Budget for the financial year 2021-22.
Honorable Dominic Ndambuki, Chairperson, Budget and Appropriations Committee.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. My name is Honorable Dominic Ndambuki, Chairperson, Budget and Appropriations Committee. Honorable Speaker, aware that Article 228, Sub-Article 6 of the Constitution of Kenya 2010, read together with Sections 9 and 16(1)(b) of the Control of Budget Act of 2016, requires the Office of the Control of Budget to submit a report to each House of Parliament on the implementation of the national and county government's budgets every 4 months. Further, aware that Section 166, Subsection 2A of the Public Finance Management Act of 2012, which states that in preparing a quarterly report for a county government entity, the accounting officer shall ensure that the report contains information on the financial and non-financial performance of the entity. That county treasuries shall submit reports generated from the integrated financial management systems and county-approved budgets to the Office of the Controller of Budget. Informed that the annual county government budget implementation review reports examines the cumulative budget performance of the 47 counties for the period between July 2021 and June 2022. Honorable Speaker, I wish to move the motion that this House adopts the report of the Budget and Appropriations Committee on the annual county budget implementations review by the Office of the Controller of Budget for the fiscal year 2021-2022. I wish to call upon Honorable Justice Mutuku to second.
Honorable Justin Mutuku.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I am Honorable Justice Mula Mutuku, representing the great people of Wamonyo, the Vice Chairperson of this committee, and Madam Speaker, I second the motion.
Thank you so much, Mheshimiwa Justice. I now propose the question that this House adopts the report of Budget and Appropriations Committee on the annual county budget implementation review by Office of the Controller of Budget for financial year 2021-2022. Before I invite members for debate, let me call the mover, Honorable Dan Buki, Dominic Ndambuki, to take the House through the highlights of the report.
Thank you. With your permission, Honorable Speaker, I'm going to give this House highlights of the report from the Controller of Budget, a report by the Budget and Appropriations Committee, which is the second report on annual county budget implementation review report by the Office of the Controller of Budget. It has been prepared this month, February 2023. And as I had alluded to before, Honorable Speaker, this report is prepared in accordance with Article 228, Sub-Article 6 of the Constitution of Kenya 2010, read together with Sections 9 and 16(1)(b) of the Control of Budget Act 2016, which requires the Office of the Control of Budget to submit a report to each House of Parliament on the implementation of the national and county government budgets every 4 months. Honorable Speaker, this annual county government budget implementation review report examines the cumulative budget performance of the 47 counties for the period between 1st July 2021 and June 2022. The analysis and preparation of this report is based on the financial reports submitted to the Controller of Budget by the county treasuries the approved county budgets and reports generated from IFMIS. Honorable Speaker, the report highlights the achievements and challenges encountered in budget implementation by the county governments in the financial year. It also proposes recommendations to address the difficulties identified to promote better budget implementation and prudence in Public Finance Management Act. Honorable Speaker, the mandate of the Committee on Budget is drawn from Standing Order number 186, Suborder 3, which states that there shall be a select committee to be known as the Budget and Appropriations Committee, which is mandated to investigate, inquire into, and report on all matters related to coordination, control, and monitoring of the county budget. Honorable Speaker, the committee is composed of the following members. 1. Honorable Dominic Ndambuki, Chairperson. 2. Honorable Justus Mutuku, Vice Chairperson. 3. Honorable Judas Ndawa, Member. 4. Honorable Phoebe Koki, Member. 5. Honorable Peter Kilonzo, Member. 6. Honorable Nicholas Nzioka, Member. 7. Honorable Stephen Mwandi, Member. 8. Honorable Margaret Ndalana, Member. 9. Honorable Winfred Mutua, Member. Part of the Secretariat, we have Ms. Evelyn Kimote, Senior Clerk Assistant. Miss Mary Nzembi, Clerk Assistant. Mr. Sylvester Nzangi, who is a Senior Fiscal Analyst. And Shadrach Mbidi, a Physical Analyst. In preparation of this report, Honorable Speaker, the committee adhered to the provisions of the Constitution of Kenya, Article 228, Sub-Article 4, which states that the Controller of Budget shall oversee the implementation of the budgets of the national and county governments by authorizing withdrawals from the public funds under Article 204, 206, and 207. Further, Article 228, Sub-Article 6, that states every 4 months the Controller of Budget shall submit to each House of Parliament a report of the implementation of the budgets on the national and county governments. PFM Act of 2012, Section 39, subsection 8 states that the Controller of Budget shall ensure that members of the public are given information on budget implementation both at national and county government levels in accordance with Article 228 of the Constitution. Therefore, Honorable Speaker, this report complies with Sections 168 and 166 of the PFM Act of 2012 and Sections 9 and 16 of the Controller of Budget Act of 2016. Honorable Speaker, we look at the annual county budget implementation review report of 2021-2022. The approved budget, Honorable Speaker, of the Machakos County Government for the fiscal year 2021-2022 was 13,089,716,880 Kenya shillings, being 9.05 billion for recurrent and 4.04 billion Kenya shillings for development. To finance the budget, the county government expected to receive 9.16 billion Kenya shillings, which translates to as 70% of the equitable share, generate 1.68 billion Kenya shillings, which translates to 13% of the budget from its own sources, 1.59 billion Kenya shillings, which is 12% of the budget as conditional grants, and use 659.27 million Kenya shillings, which is 5% of the budget, cash balances from the previous year, which is 2020-2021. On revenue performance, Honorable Speaker, in the financial year 2021-2022, the Machakos County Government received 8.34 billion Kenya shillings as equitable share and raised 1.12 billion Kenya shillings as own source revenue, and 135.66 million Kenya shillings as conditional grants, and had cash balances of 659.27 million Kenya shillings, giving it a total of 10.34 billion Kenya shillings, translating to 79% performance of the total budget in the fiscal year 2021-2022. Honorable Speaker, the county realized 1,118,461,753 Kenya shillings as own source revenues in the fiscal year 2021-2022 against a target of 1,632,894,197 Kenya shillings, a performance of 66.5%. This was a decrease of 13.7% as compared to 1.3 billion Kenya shillings realized in fiscal year 2020-2021. We have a table, Honorable Speaker, that shows the performance of own source revenue, and I would request that members look at the table. Honorable Speaker, the table shows a decline in collection of own source revenue from the year 2013 all the way to 2022. On expenditure, Honorable Speaker, during the financial year under review, Controller of Budget approved 10.35 billion Kenya shillings withdrawals from County Revenue Fund, comprising of 1.40 billion Kenya shillings, which is a 13.6% for development programs, and 8.94 billion Kenya shillings, which is 86.4% for recurrent programs. In the fiscal year 2021-2022, the county had a total expenditure of 9,990,834,707 Kenya shillings. 8.67 billion Kenya shillings being recurrent expenditure and 1.32 billion Kenya shillings for development projects. Of the recurrent expenditure, 6,400,178,586 Kenya shillings was spent on personnel emoluments, which is 64% of the total actual expenditure for the year, while 2,273,138,970 Kenya shillings was for operations and maintenance. Honorable Speaker, the expenditure on personnel emoluments, as shown, was way above the 35% threshold given. Only four counties nationally had expenditures on wages and benefits within the ceiling is provided by the law. And these counties are Mandera at 28.4%, Tana River at 29.6%, Isiolo at 33.1%, and Kwale at 34.9%. Honorable Speaker, the County Assembly of Machakos spent 62.71 million on committee seating allowances for the then 59 members of County Assembly and the Speaker. In the fiscal year 2021-2022, the expenditure on domestic travels amounted to 557.54 million Kenya shillings, 228.38 million Kenya shillings by the County Assembly, and 329.16 million by the County Executive. The expenditure on foreign travels amounted to 127.12 million Kenya shillings, being 71.40 million Kenya shillings by the Assembly and 55.72 million Kenya shillings by the Executive. Honorable Speaker, the absorption of the development budget was very low during the financial year 2021-2022. 1.32 billion Kenya shillings as the actual expenditure against a budget of 4.04 billion Kenya shillings. This was a decline of 50.8% compared to 2020-2021, where the county spent 2.68 billion Kenya shillings on development programs. Nevertheless, some major projects were undertaken during the financial year under review. This include upgrading of different roads, equipping and reticulation of boreholes, construction of the new assembly chamber, renovation of health facilities, construction of ward offices, construction of weirs and dams, construction of the Speaker's residence, construction of border sheds and ECDE classrooms in various wards in the county. On pending bills, Honorable Speaker, as at 30th June 2022, the county government of Machakos reported unsettled financial obligations of 809,522,345 Kenya shillings. This comprised of 725,182,729 Kenya shillings for the county executive and 84,339,616 Kenya shillings for the county assembly. Across the country, only Mandera County Executive didn't report any pending bills for the year under review, as well as 21 county assemblies. We look at the county established funds. Honorable Speaker, Section 116 of PFM Act of 2012 allows county governments to establish other public funds with the approval of the County Executive Committee and the County Assembly. During the year under review, 170.34 million Kenya shillings were allocated to Machakos County established funds, constituting to 0.3% of the overall budget for the year. These are staff car loans at 5 million Kenya shillings, MCA's car loans at 50 million Kenya shillings, staff mortgage facility at 35 million Kenya shillings, and bursary funds at 80.4 million Kenya shillings. The Machakos County Emergency Fund is yet to be established. Honorable Speaker, we received submissions from the County Executive Committee member for Finance after invitation by the BSC, where he responded to some of the key issues raised by the committee, and below are the submissions. 1. Low absorption rate of the budget was caused by the late disbursement of funds from the National Treasury and low performance of own source revenue. 2. The declining trend in own source revenue collection from fiscal year 2018 to 2019 and 2021 and 2022 was a result of the effect of COVID-19 pandemic, which led to a reduction in economic activities due to measures such as lockdowns, curfews, and restrictions on movement. This led to a decline in revenues from sources such as single business permits, rents, bus park fees, parking fees, among others. Further, there was tax waivers and reduction of revenue collections from some sources as per executive order from the governor to support local businesses and citizens so as to cushion them from the adverse effects of the COVID-19 pandemic. The chief officer stated that the department had introduced a single pay bill number for all revenue streams in the whole county to enhance efficiency and effectiveness in revenue collection. These would reduce financial leakages and improve on the own source revenue. The department is also planning to fully digitize revenue collection to eliminate revenue leakages. 3. The CCM Finance informed the committee that huge outstanding bills was as a result of underperformance of own source revenue and delay on disbursements of funds from the Treasury. However, the department had prepared a payment plan for all the eligible bills. 4. The issue of operationalization of the Machakos County Emergency Fund was raised, and the executive responded that the process of establishing the structures required to operationalize the fund was ongoing. 5. Further, the CCM Finance informed the committee that all employees were paid using the Unified Human Resource Information System for public service, except a few newly recruited who were in the process of being incorporated into the system. 6. On the provision of financial and non-financial quarterly reports to the Assembly and other relevant institutions such as Office of the Controller of Budget, the CCM Finance promised to adhere to legal timelines and ensure all reports were submitted to the relevant authorities. General Committee Observations. Honorable Speaker, the committee observed that there are a number of challenges that hindered effective budget execution during the financial year 2021-2022, which include 1. High level of outstanding pending bills. 2. Low expenditure on development budget. 3. Underperformance in own source revenue collection. 4. High expenditure on personnel emoluments. 5. Use of manual systems to process the payroll or some part of the payroll. 6. The county emergency fund was non-operational. 7. Delays in disbursement of funds from the exchequer. Recommendations from the committee. 1. The pending bills should be budgeted and settled as a first charge in the subsequent financial years, in line with Regulation 41. 2 of PFM County Government's Regulations of 2015. The accounting officers should adhere to the annual budgetary allocations when making any financial commitments to undertake any project or acquire goods and services. Procurement of goods and services should be initiated in good time to enable the county government settle the commitments before the end of the financial year. The committee also directs the respective departmental chief officers to provide a list of the pending bills within 1 month after tabling of this report before the House, with aging analysis and the plan on how to settle them. 2. The county executive should prioritize implementation of development projects so as to improve the standards of living of the Machakos County residents. The procurement process for capital projects should be initiated early enough and in the beginning of financial years to ensure their timely completion. The county executive should ensure that the spending on development activities meets the minimum set threshold of 30% of the annual budgets. Also, the projects identified and undertaken should match the funds allocation to ensure successful completion of each and every project. 3. The county executive should review revenue targets to ensure that they are realistic and attainable. Strategies should also be made and implemented to mobilize the on-source revenue, digitize revenue collection, and curb the declining trend. The executive should also build the capacity for revenue officers, strengthen the revenue streams, and set targets to enhance revenue collection. Proper internal control mechanisms should be adopted to ensure revenue receipts are banked intact into the county revenue fund in accordance with Section 109, subsection 2 of the PFM Act of 2012. 4. The county executive should ensure that spending on personnel emoluments is contained at a sustainable level and in line with Regulation 25(1)(b) of PFM on county governments regulation of 2015. 5. The county should fully use the Unified Human Resource Information Systems for public service to process its payroll. Use of manual systems is prone to abuse, is opposed to the Integrated Personnel and Payroll Database, IPPD, which has sufficient capacity to securely capture, process, and store and supply information for timely and accurate execution of the HRM functions. 6. The county executive to operationalize the Machakos County Emergency Fund regulations passed by the House and have the fund established as soon as possible. 7. The county executive to implement mechanisms that ensure adherence to legal provisions on submission of financial and non-financial statutory reports to the relevant institutions. 8. National Treasury to ensure that the disbursement of the equitable share of revenue is done in time to ensure effective budget implementation in counties. In conclusion, Honorable Speaker, the committee noted that many stalled projects were caused by failure to follow the legal provisions, and the county needs to put measures in place to ensure that no new major projects are initiated before completing the existing ones and fully settle the eligible pending bills. Further, it was noted that new projects are initiated and funds committed without factoring in the pending projects, hence accumulating huge unsettled obligations. The Budget and Appropriations Committee expects the county executive to implement the committee's recommendations to ensure efficient budget implementation. Further, the Assembly's Committee on Implementation should fast track and monitor the implementation of these recommendations. Honorable Speaker, the committee wishes to acknowledge the office of the Speaker and that of the County Clerk of the Assembly for facilitating the committee to undertake its mandate. I wish to acknowledge the honorable members of the committee who spared their time to participate in the meetings and in preparation of this report. I also wish to acknowledge the sincere efforts of the Secretariat in compiling this report. Honorable Speaker, it is therefore my privilege and honor on behalf of the Budget and Appropriations Committee to table the report on the annual county budget implementation review by the Office of the Controller of Budget for the fiscal year 2021-2022 before this Honorable Assembly for consideration and approval. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you so much, Chairman Budget, Honorable Dominic. I now invite members to debate the motion. Yes, Minority Leader.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. My name is Judas Ndawa. Judas Ndawa is also a member of this committee. Honorable Speaker, I will start by thanking our most able chair, together with the committee, for coming up with a very brief and elaborate report on these issues. Honorable Speaker, we may not need to discuss much on this because the report is self-explanatory. But I have few issues that I want to share with the members. Honorable Speaker, the issue of pending bills is becoming a thorn in the flesh. And one of the reasons why I'm saying so, Honorable Speaker, remember these are pending bills which were incurred during the other regime, not this regime. And the question I'm asking myself, and I believe other members are also asking the same question: how do we measure our performance as an assembly when it comes to issue of pending bills? The electorate would not understand that we use the resources which are available to settle pending bills. The electorate expect to see this assembly giving them development. So, Honorable Speaker, what I'm requesting this Honorable House and the county executive, which is in the office by now, let us try as much as possible to minimize the issue of pending bills. Because if we give contract without having enough resources, or we have without having proper arrangements on how to pay, we will just find ourselves in the same problem we had as of now. Honorable Speaker, when we talk of these pending bills, I know the governor has intention to pay the pending bills. But I believe we have two types of pending bills, Honorable Speaker. We have regular pending bills and we have irregular. Regular pending bills are the ones which have all the documentations. Irregular bills are the ones that we are given, and maybe whoever did the work did not get even an LSO or LPO. So it is very difficult to say that we are going to clear all the pending bills. And I believe the governor had a very good intention because he formed a task force to work on those issues of pending bills. So I just wish her all the best to ensure that we clear with these pending bills so that we can be able to move forward. Honorable Speaker, the other issue that I want to agree with the committee has recommended that we should initiate the issue of procurement in good time, so that we can be able to avoid a situation whereby the monies will go back after the end of the year. One of the challenges that makes the county not to perform well on this issue, Honorable Speaker, has been raised in the report about the issue of the late disbursement by the national government. That one may not be within our control, but we are also requesting the national government, wherever they are, if they know Machakos is supposed to require this amount, let's get that money in good time so that we can do what is required. In fact, the needs that we have are more than what we have. When President Obama visited Kenya, he said, we are living in a world of limited resources. And that is very true. The resources are few and the needs are so many. So if we can get the resources in good time, I'm very sure we will be able to do what is required. Then on the issue of our own source revenue, Honorable Speaker, the CEC Finance, together with its team, must pull up their socks to ensure that they seal this thing we call IATAs. They must ensure that all the monies which are supposed to be paid to the county go to the county revenue account. Because I'm very sure a very big percentage of the monies collected in the county does not end up in the county treasury. It goes to the pockets of the revenue officers. And that is why I'm saying the CEC and also members of the Committee on Finance should also assist to ensure that what is supposed to go to the county goes to the county. Honorable Speaker, the bitter part of it is the issue of emergency regulation. This morning we were Honorable Dominic here, sought for an extension so that they can be able to report to this House on issue of regularizing this issue of emergency. It is a pity to all of us if we had only set about 5 million. 5 million. Machakos has over 1,480,000 residents. And we had only set only 5 million. So in simple translation, we had set only less than 2 shillings. Less than 2 shillings for each individual in Machakos. The issue of emergency should be given the attention it deserves, because nobody knows what will happen tomorrow. Honorable Speaker, the CEC Finance should also pull up its socks to ensure that this information which the Committee on Implementation is requesting, let it be availed. And if it is not availed, then the House will have no option. If we cannot be able to surrender that information to the Implementation Committee, then I propose we summon him to the Committee of the Whole so that he can come here and face the whole House and tell us why he cannot be able to give this information. These are not personal issues. These are account issues. And there is nothing to hide. So we don't want any particular officer, because we appointed this, we have approved these officers in this House. And we also have powers to recommend for their removal if they are not working. If we find that an officer is not adding value to us or to the county, then definitely the House will have no option. We will have to sit and approve or request that the governor discharges that particular officer. But we don't want to go that route. Let that particular officer come here and ensure that he gives the House the information so that we can be able to discharge our duties. Otherwise, if he doesn't come, the assembly will be seen as if we are not doing what is required of us. So, Honorable Speaker, finally I want to say thank you to the committee and say the members of this committee spend a lot of time, a lot of energy compiling this report. So I want to say thank you and I support the report. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you so much, Minority Leader, Honorable Ndawa. I now invite the mover, Honorable Dominic Ndambuki, to reply.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. As what Honorable Ndawa said, the report is self-explanatory, and there's a need for the CCM Finance and his team to ensure that they deliver, especially on the issue of on-source revenue collection, so that we can see the numbers growing. Honorable Speaker, I believe that as a county, we have the potential to raise more than the figure that is given in the last financial year under review, that is 1.118 billion Kenya shillings. We have potential to raise much more money than that. Honorable Speaker, again, it is my plea to the County Executive Committee to ensure that each CACM member delivers on their part so that the absorption rate on development is higher than what is reported here. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you so much, Chair. Budget. I now put the question that This House adopts the report of the Budget and Appropriations Committee on the annual county budget implementation review of the Office of the Controller of Budget for financial year 2021-2022. As many are of the opinion, say ayes. As many are of the contrary opinion, say nay. The ayes have it. The House adjourns to Wednesday, 22nd February 2023 at 10 a.m.